Are you ready for some developmental football? That is the question as we welcome you to Syracuse Sports. My friends, great to have you here. My name is Brent Axe. If you subscribe, if you follow via Spotify, Apple, YouTube, well, you get a sticker because that is a great way to keep in touch with this program. By the way, I don't have any stickers. That's kind of theoretical, but you get what I'm saying. You guys did a great job. And if you're not following wherever you get your podcast, please do, because that means when a new episode of Syracuse Sports pops up, you can listen, you can watch, and you can do it on demand whenever you want. Yeah, Syracuse football is in developmental mode. When you have the head coach saying that he's developing his quarterbacks, kind of on the job training, well, that applies to the whole football team. As the quarterback goes, so does the team. When we have Ricky Collins continuing to struggle, when you have Luke Carney getting on the field but not being trusted to throw the ball on a 3rd down and 9, this is a tough ask for this team to go forward and to, in some way, shape, or form, put together a season where it qualifies for a bowl game. The math says that the Orange would have to beat either No.7 Georgia Tech, where they play this week, No.9 Miami, or No.12 Notre Dame, per their current rankings, to get to that 6-win plateau, and that just looks unlikely given the struggles that the quarterback has had, no matter who that quarterback seems to be at this point, but mostly Ricky Collins. So Syracuse fans are in a bit of a no pain, no gain kind of situation here. And it kind of stinks because things have tilted back to normal. A 10-win season last year, Kyle McCord setting records, all kinds of NFL-level players out there winning games, winning 10 games, and making Syracuse football something to watch from start to finish. There was no "is it basketball season yet" questions being asked. People were all in on football from start to finish because they were interesting. There's a buzz, and oh yeah, they won 10 games, so that will keep people engaged a lot longer. And we saw pretty early in basketball season how bad that team was going to be. That looks to be the opposite this year, but that's just the thing. Basketball is now on the table. The Orange have an exhibition game this week. People are buzzing about that team and some excitement about that team. The curiosity of all the new players with Kion Anthony, etc., etc., etc. We've heard this before. Syracuse football fans thought they broke out of the norm last year, but the reality is you're not going to have that 10-win season year in and year out yet under Fran Brown, particularly when you've had the injuries, particularly the youth of this football team, and of course the struggles at quarterback. If you ask Fran Brown about all of this, he maintains, just follow me and things will be just fine. Here's the head coach this week, just taking it all in.
That's all on me, right? I'm the leader of the program. I'm good. Like, I'm straight. I know what we need to do. I'll continue to keep my chin up. I'll make sure that I walk around and show them what it's like to follow someone who has the faith and believes and gonna keep working hard. And as long as they follow me, we'll be fine. As long as they keep their ears like close to everything else outside, then they'll be straight. I had someone tell me last night to be like the conductor of the orchestra. Like, you ever went to orchestra, you know how he kind of just leads all of them and his backs to the crowd and to everyone else. Like, that doesn't really matter. I want them to all have that same mindset, for us to all just be together, be on the same page. If they follow me, we're gonna be fine.
So that's in the long term. Syracuse kind of has to grin and bear it in the short term here and try and find ways to be competitive with those ranked teams on the schedule, with a air quotes winnable matchup against North Carolina on Halloween, and later down the road to end the season against Boston College. So that's the hope. Will the short-term pain be worth the long-term gain? Fran even mentioned it in his press conference after Syracuse lost to Pitt about their excitement about the class of 2026, which is one of their higher-rated classes and is one of the most stuffed classes in terms of bodies in the country. The class of 2027 already has 6 commitments. The number 1 running back came on spell, who just decommitted from Penn State in the class of 2027, is going to visit Syracuse for the North Carolina game. So everything has a bit of an eye over the horizon right now. But how this team gets by in the next 5 games is something I'm going to be curious about how many of you stick with it. The old jokes start flying again. When is it basketball season? Apple picking, raking leaves, all those activities that people do in Central New York, other than watch football, may start to creep back in here. We will be there. I will be there. We will be doing post-game shows after every game and following this team for you, because we do it for the people. And I know our Syracuse Sports insiders are going to be fully invested in Syracuse football, but basketball is creeping on the scene here, and it just feels like how much buzz can this football team maintain going down the stretch? North Carolina comes in to the JMA Wireless Dome on Halloween, which is already a more disappointing matchup than we thought, because just when you think things are bad in your neighborhood, it can get worse. North Carolina has been an abject disaster under Bill Belichick, but people do like to watch car wrecks on the side of the highway. Belichick is still one of the great figures in all of football, so will there be Patriot fans there? Will there be curiosity of people there? Will the students come and party at the Dome before they go party on Halloween weekend? And a lot of intrigue in that game. A lot of outside buzz will still exist no matter what happens against Georgia Tech this week. And speaking of which, now, being a Syracuse Sports Insider gives you direct text message access to me anytime. Your questions, your thoughts, your opinions. Just want to shoot the breeze and talk Syracuse sports. The questions you want me to ask Syracuse players and coaches. I love the back and forth that we get from our growing, passionate community of some of the best Syracuse sports fans out there. If you're going to be in Atlanta for Syracuse-Georgia Tech and you want to hang with some of the best Syracuse fans out there at Tex and Mark's tailgate, our Syracuse Sports Insiders know they can get in touch and find out all about that. There's so many benefits to being a Syracuse Sports Insider, and we hope you can sign up today. Well, everybody thinks Syracuse is up against it, against Haynes King, who would be the unequivocal MVP of the ACC if such an award existed at this point, and Georgia Tech. There is one man who is calling a shot, and that is Che, or should I say, Che Stradamus, who says the Orange will upset the Yellow Jackets in Atlanta, going wire to wire in what is called the Ricky Collins game henceforth. Ricky is his best game as a college athlete, and the Orange play keep away en route to a 31-24 win. Now, Georgia Tech is undefeated. They are 7-0. Georgia Tech's played a lot of close games this year. They barely got by Wake Forest in overtime. They had a bunch of turnovers to open the season against Colorado, but still won that game. They beat Clemson on a last-second field goal. So while Georgia Tech is undefeated, they do have a vulnerable defense, at least statistically, other than the fact they're only giving up 20 points per game. So if Ricky does snap into motion here, if the Syracuse defense, which has been markedly better the past couple of games, to their credit, he gets 7 sacks and 12 tackles for loss against Pitt. Man, the offense has got to help you out there, right? That's why they play the games, friends. Che still believes, or should I say, Che Stradamus. So if Syracuse does pull this off, he called it first. I still want to know all about this Georgia Tech team as you do. That's why we turn to our guest today on Syracuse Sports, Chad Bishop, who covers all things Georgia Tech sports for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. But we had to talk some hoops, too, because Naithan George has already been named a captain for Syracuse basketball, along with J.J. Starling, that terrific backcourt that Syracuse looks to have for this upcoming season. And, of course, he comes from Georgia Tech, and Chad covered him there. So we will talk to Chad Bishop, coming up here from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, learn all about the Yellow Jackets. But just another reminder for you guys out there, we love to feature your original music on this show. And the best way to do that is to just get in touch. All the info is in the show notes. You can email me directly, which is BAXE at syracuse.com, BAXE at syracuse.com. And we would love to have a conversation with you as an independent artist, as a musician, if you're in a band, you just want to get your tunes out there. We love to feature your original music here on Syracuse Sports, so get in touch. And we're featuring a band here that we have had on the show before. Glad to feature another one of their tunes today. Band is called Ginger Sling, and the info where you can find them is in the show notes, and the song is called Hazy Sky Number 2. So we'll play a portion of that here to transition to our interview with Chad, and then we'll play the song in its entirety at the end of the pod, which we can do for you as well. So get in touch, all you musicians out there.
It's a hazy sky tonight, and I'm on my own. Oh, lazy dynamite, and the powers cut it on. Wondering when you call me, baby, on the phone.
Chad, the toast of the ACC, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, Virginia's not too far behind. Let's give them a little shout out here, too. But for Georgia Tech, 7-0, number 7 in the country. How much did you see this coming? I mean, Brent Key's had some success there, but if I had told you before the season started that this would be, the top team in the ACC and everything that they currently have in their back pocket, what would your response have been to that?
I mean, no way. I mean, let's be honest. I'm a man who deals in honesty, and you could go in that locker room, and I'm sure those kids might say, "Oh yeah," but I mean, come on, 7-0, number 7 in the country. Yeah, I thought Georgia Tech would have a very, very good football team. I mean, they got Haynes King. They have a lot of skill guys back on offense, but they had a new defensive coordinator and a lot of transfers in on the defensive side of the ball. They had to go to Colorado. They had to play Clemson early on, who we thought might be, a national title contender. So to see them now at 7-0, it's wild. There's no way I could have expected that. Maybe 5-2, maybe even 6-1. But to be undefeated at this point, to be squarely in the hunt for not only the ACC title game, but a college football playoff appearance. Shoot, maybe a college football playoff home game. I mean, that's crazy to me.
So we're in a world here where you're always looking over the horizon at the next thing. Even Fran Brown's name came up for the Penn State job. I don't think that's going to continue to come up if Syracuse keeps sliding down the hill here this year. But with a lot of jobs in the college football world opening up, how much do you think Brent Key's name's going to start showing up on some of these lists?
Oh yeah, it's going to be out there, whether it's legitimate or not. Everybody has agents, right? Everybody's going to float some names out there, whether it's legitimacy for a candidacy, or whether it's to get Brent Key more money at Georgia Tech. I mean, I think Brent Key's in a great position right now as far as that goes, and he's going to be a hot commodity. He was only an 18-16 coach coming into this year. Now he's 7-0, and he's got a ton of wins over ranked teams. And I think a lot of programs look at Brent Key and see the identity that he's built, right? The type of team he has, the buy-in from the team, all these things make him a very alluring, attractive coach. But he is an alum of Georgia Tech. He's lived a ton of his life in Atlanta. He loves it here. He makes no bones about that. Doesn't mean he would ever leave. But I think right now the timing probably isn't just right for him at this moment to really abandon what he's built here at this point.
All those close games they've played, Chad, look, you got to win these games, and that's the separation, the difference between good and great in college football is when you're put to it, you win these games. I mean, is it as simple as Haynes King is hard to stop? Is there some kind of magic potion here that gets Georgia Tech these close wins? Is it their physical style of play? If you had to nail it down, why is this team so good in these spots?
I think it's all of it. They keep finding a way to win. It's been nonsensical is a word that I keep thinking of. To turn the ball over 3 times in a row to start the season at Colorado, and you win that game. You're up 13-0 on Clemson and 21-14 on Clemson, and you blow those leads and you win that game. You're down 20-3 at Wake Forest, you win in overtime. You're down 10-7 in the third quarter at Duke, you win that game. They just keep finding ways to win. Their turnover margin is -2. They have the ACC's worst rushing defense. A lot of this doesn't make sense. I keep waiting for the bottom to fall out, for the shoe to drop, but it's not. And I think because they have such a great team chemistry and team makeup, they got almost 30 seniors, whether that's 4-year guys, 3-year guys, 2-year guys, 1-year transfer rentals. They're a very veteran squad. And a lot of their leaders have been around here a long time, like the Haynes Kings of the world, the Malik Rutherfords, Kyle Eifert at linebacker. So, I think that you combined all that. They preach playing 60 minutes, as cliche as it is. They do that. They wear you down. That was evidence at Duke on Saturday. Duke controlled much of that game, but Tech just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, able to get out of there with a win. So I think that their makeup and their build has really made them for all these close games.
There's something to that. I know it's we're not unearthing anything here about veteran leadership and how that can count, but Syracuse had the Kyle McCords and the Justin Barons and the Fidel Diggs, and go through the name Jackson Meeks, many of which are now in the National Football League, and they were in some tough spots last year, and they came through in those games, Georgia Tech included, when Georgia Tech was coming back in that game in the Dome last year. So to have those seniors and that leadership matters, and you know what to do in those moments. I look at this Syracuse team that's young in a lot of key spots, notably quarterback right now, and they don't know what they don't know until they know it. So if it comes down to it, especially on the road, I'm as curious as anybody how Syracuse is going to handle that. Having Haynes King, I mean, Chad, I'm always fascinated in sports. Like when it's like I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, but it's like there's just certain guys like you can know what's coming, and it just doesn't matter. You got to get them. Haynes King is in that college territory. If there was a ACC MVP award, and free idea for you, Jim Phillips, right? An ACC MVP. Just another thing you can hand out and send press releases about at the ACC championship game, which Georgia Tech likely is going to be in at this point. But he's the MVP of this league if they handed it out at this moment, and he's well on track to be it. And it's coming. So it's just one of those things like, you can watch film till your eyes bleed. You just got to figure out a way to stop it. He's that kind of player.
MVP is most valuable player, right? I mean, Haynes King value to not only the offense to the team is just beyond measurement. I mean, and look at the 2024 season, the 2 games Haynes King did not play. Georgia Tech lost at Virginia Tech and they lost to Notre Dame. There was a great article in The Athletic, one of Texas A&M's former assistant coaches called Haynes King Jimmy Chitwood, the character in the movie Hoosiers, who played for Hickory High. You take Jimmy Chitwood out, that's a completely different team. You take Haynes King away from Georgia Tech, and to your point, I mean, it's fake toss left and he's running between the tackles and no one can stop him. They're running this option counter play and no one can stop him. There's a will to win that is really unmatched from a lot of college football players. He's old school. He's throwback. It's funny you mentioned Patrick Mahomes. He was on College Game Day earlier this season saying he's one of the guys he studies, right? I mean, he sort of reminds me of like an Eric Crouch or a Tim Tebow-esque type of guy that just puts his shoulders down and doesn't matter what happens to his physical body because there's nothing he can do to his mentality. So he's been a godsend for Georgia Tech football. There's no official Heisman campaign for Haynes King. There's definitely an organic social media one. A lot of folks are in love with this kid and just so thankful of what he's done for Georgia Tech football.
Now, that being said, if Syracuse does manage to slow him down, what's the 1B on the Georgia Tech offense?
Well, coming into this year, it had been Jamal Haynes, the running back, but he's just been so bottled up. I think you've seen defenses just really pick their poison. They've really shut down Jamal Haynes. I mean, to be honest, again, like he hasn't had that big breakout performance. But I would look at a wide receiver named Isaiah Canyon. He had a couple really big catches against Duke, and coming into this season, Tech coaches really thought he could be a real breakout player. And he's a 6'4" wide receiver. He can go up and get the ball. He's a real crisp route runner. Really, really talented young kid at wide receiver. And I'll throw another wide receiver in there, Eric Rivers, a transfer from Florida International, really, really talented as well. So if Tech has to turn to the passing game, which they did a little bit against Duke, and they're certainly capable of doing, there's a couple wide receivers that can beat that Syracuse defense.
Chad, you had a great tweet this week, and it's nice when you can log on to Twitter and actually get something useful out of it. So thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome. Yes.
You had some stats, good and not so good, right? Here's what's looking good for Georgia Tech. Here's what's not so good. And a lot of the not so good is on the defensive side, at least statistically. They're having trouble again, numbers don't always match up with reality when you win these close games and win the way Georgia Tech does. But they're having trouble stopping the run and a few other things, and I'm not so sure Syracuse could take advantage of these things anyway. But I guess that's the question, not only defensively but overall. Where is this team vulnerable?
Well, we go back to the discussion of nonsensical, right? Georgia Tech's defense statistically is not good, statistically. Last in the league in rush defense, total offense numbers are down there. They're not good on fourth down defense, even though they held Virginia Tech to 0-8 on third down. But where they've stood up is points. They're only allowing 20 points a game, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in today's college football, that's a pretty good number. And that was evidence against Duke. They got a fumble with their backs on the goal line at the 1. They held Duke to a field goal attempt, which the Blue Devils botched. They held Duke to another field goal attempt, which they made. So they're not letting teams in the end zone a lot. And the bend, don't break mentality is a slippery slope, right? It's dangerous, but Tech's sort of living that life right now. They're giving up a ton of yards and a ton of plays and a ton of big plays, but they're not letting teams in the end zone. So there's something to be said for that. They're really, what's the phrase, bowing their necks down in the red zone, and they're getting the job done. So, props to Blake Gideon and his crew for at least doing that. Because they're keeping guys out of the end zone. Again, does the bottom fall out at some point? I don't know. Are there offenses left on the schedule to take advantage of that? I don't know. I thought Duke could, and Darian Mensah threw all over the yard. But again, the ball never really got in the end zone. So that's really been Georgia Tech's defense MO to this point, and it's been working.
While we're on the subject of that defense, I mean, look, Syracuse has a quarterback issue right now. Ricky Collins is struggling. They have a freshman in Luke Carney who's got some talent and some big numbers in high school, but he's a freshman. And as we said earlier, he doesn't know what he doesn't know. There was a 3rd down and 9 pass play. So in the second half of the Pitt game, they switched to Luke Carney. He comes in. First series, they just run the ball 3 times. Second series, they get to 3rd down and 9, and they take him off the field and put Ricky Collins back out there. Like, they're clearly signaling, like, yeah, we've got issues with Collins, but we're not letting this kid throw the ball on 3rd and 9. Like, this is where Syracuse is at with their quarterback. So even with the numbers, as you just said there, I'm sure Georgia Tech's looking at this quarterback situation on the other side saying, yeah, I think we can handle that, right? I mean, generally, is this an aggressive defense? What is whoever's at quarterback, I guess, at this point? I think I might get called into this game. Have to worry about.
I don't know if I would term Georgia Tech's defense aggressive, but they are in spots, right? And it was interesting to hear them talk about the game plan against Duke and Darian Mensah, one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, switching up coverages, switching up blitzes and stunts, and giving him a ton of looks, keeping the ball in front of them, almost like a shortstop playing defense. Like, knock it down, just keep it in front of you. Don't let the ball get past you. So, honestly, whoever's at quarterback for Syracuse probably will have some chance to make some completions and to gain some yards, but would also be expected to be chased a little bit. I mean, Tech spent a lot of their time and a lot of their money in the offseason trying to upgrade that defensive front. They got a lot of transfers in that area who really haven't, made huge gains statistically, but have affected the opposing quarterback enough to allow Tech's secondary, which is pretty strong, to make some plays. So, it probably is a bad matchup for Syracuse coming in, even though, Tech's defense gives up a lot of yards. They do have the ability to get back there. They got some rush guys on the defensive end. And that, to your point, they probably could be looking at trying to feast on Saturday.
Chad, I want to switch gears a little bit, talk some hoops. Now, you were kind enough to come on when Nate George, and I guess he prefers Nathan, so sorry, Nathan, when Nathan transferred to Syracuse. And that was the first real signal in the portal that Syracuse was serious, that they had money to spend, and that they were going to use the portal to upgrade this roster in every way possible. And they ended up with about 6 total transfers in addition to the freshmen they have coming in. So there's some real discernible buzz about this team, that they could be better than last year, that they could break the drought and get into the tournament. And if they're going to do it, I remember Nathan leaning into that, saying, yeah, I want to be that guy that gets Syracuse back to the tournament. So, look, they haven't played a lick of basketball yet that matters. They've got an exhibition game Saturday to kind of get this thing flowing. But what do you think Syracuse is getting in terms of an upgrade at point guard? What do you think he can carry over from what he did at Georgia Tech to a Syracuse roster surrounding him that looks pretty darn talented?
Yeah, I told you before, and I've always been a big fan of Nate George, Naithan George, NG. I don't know what you want to call him, but it doesn't matter. I remember, when he committed to Georgia Tech, I'll never forget, calling him up on the phone and talking about, his commitment. And he just dropped, I'm excited to get there in a couple of days. I said, wait, what? Because we thought he was the next class over.
Mm-hmm.
He had reclassified, only had, what was it? One offer from Seattle University, maybe, like completely under recruited. So the kid has a little bit of chip on his shoulder, right? And he loves to win. And I think we might have discussed, could have been an underlying factor, in his decision to maybe look somewhere else. You could just see when Georgia Tech lost, sort of the disdain and disappointment in his body language, and playing in front of, smaller crowds, to be honest. I mean, Tech's basketball attendance hasn't been great, and they haven't been winning a ton and really haven't been close to sniffing the NCAA tournament. And so, to your point, Syracuse probably makes the pitch of, hey, we're putting together a roster that can make a run. So, he's just a really, really under control player, really, really intelligent. It has continued to grow and improve over his 2 seasons at Georgia Tech. I definitely don't think there was a regression there from his game. He can score, he can hit the 3, but that's certainly not his first focus. He loves getting guys involved. His assist numbers are going to be outstanding. So if he has guys to pass to, he's going to do that. And I think you mentioned, he's already made his captaincy known for this Syracuse basketball team, and that's no surprise to me. I mean, the kid, is sort of a leader by example, right? But he's going to go out there and give it his all and try his best to will his team to a win is really the best thing that stands out to me about Naithan George.
Chad, last thing for you. I should have ended the football conversation with this, but I just thought of it to jump in here. So it's actually the second trip for Syracuse to Atlanta this year, but that first game was at Mercedes-Benz. What's the Georgia Tech game day experience like for any Syracuse visitors that got to check out some things this game being at Georgia Tech?
Well, it's probably a little different in October of 2025 than it would be, say, in November of 2021. These folks around here have become wild about Tech football. We talked about Brent Key and his love for Georgia Tech, and the Tech fans are now fully smitten with Brent Key. The student turnout has been absolutely insane. There was 50,000 for the last home game against Virginia Tech in a stadium of 51. So they're hoping for and expecting a sellout. The game day vibes are great. I mean, even though Georgia Tech is really in the heart of Atlanta, really right here in Midtown in the city, if you get on campus, it feels like any other college campus around the country with, the leaves changing colors, the frat house is having live bands and parties, the sheet signs up everywhere. I mean, it's a wonderful game day experience. And for folks who've never been on North Avenue, that's called Hell of a Block Party. They shut the street down. There's a concert before the game, sort of a really festive atmosphere. So yeah, man, it's a cool time to be covering this team who's really returned to really its roots, right, as a college football. I don't know if we're ready to call them a power yet. Maybe a college football player, right? At least this season, the fans are on board. The town is abuzz. Excuse the pun, but they are. So it's going to be a very, very lively scene Saturday at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Good time to get down there if you're a Syracuse fan and experience that game day atmosphere. I mean, we made it this far. I didn't even bring up the little riff between Fran Brown and Brent Key last year, but I just feel like that's kind of dulled, and Georgia Tech's got the upper hand. I'm sure they haven't forgotten about it. If they need a little extra juice in this game, they can maybe remember that whole conversation, but I don't even know if that's even a storyline going into this one because Syracuse has a lot. They've got other fish to fry at this point.
Yeah.
They're trying to fix it against one of the best teams in the country right now.
Yeah, I think Brent Key spoke about it a little bit at ACC football kickoff back in the summer that, he has the utmost respect for Fran. They talked at the ACC spring meetings down in Florida about it and sort of water under a bridge at this point. And from Fran's perspective, and I heard, some national radio folks talking about what Lane Kiffin said about Oklahoma this week. Like coaches are always trying to find an edge, find a way to motivate their teams. And Fran Brown did what he had to do. And like I wrote this week, it worked. I mean, they came out on fire and put up 31 points and took advantage of a Georgia Tech team who really didn't know what was coming at them. So, coaches are always working in different ways. I think Brent Key was probably caught off guard a little bit by it at the time, but I think now it's probably understandable. And I don't think either coach will probably talk about it or even want to talk about it this week going in. Because, again, to your point, like these coaches have a lot more things to worry about right now than that old discussion.
That's boring. That's just football stuff. We don't like that. We like coaching beefs, but not this week, right? Pat Narduzzi made up stuff about supposedly things Syracuse was saying about his team after the game last week. So
and the kids don't know.
Yeah,
don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The coach is always searching for something, but the matchup itself is enough, and we appreciate your perspective on that. A little Georgia Tech hoops, and always appreciate your time and your perspective, my friend. I know we'll do it again down the road, but thanks for coming on Syracuse Sports with us today.
All right, my man. See you.
Thanks again to Chad for his terrific insight on both Georgia Tech football and Syracuse's new point guard, Naithan George, ready to take things by storm. Already a captain. We talked to the Syracuse basketball players on Media Day, and we played some of those clips for you on the pod last week. They're all raving about Naithan George, particularly his ability to throw up some lobs, but he led the ACC in assists. The guy can pass in any way you need him to. He can shoot a little bit. He's markedly bigger and more athletic than Syracuse's point guard last year and Jaquan Carlos, and there's a noticeable upgrade, at least on paper. We'll see how that carries over on the court. We'll start to get our first look at that. Syracuse has an exhibition game in Buffalo on Saturday night to take on UB after Syracuse football takes on Georgia Tech. So, programming note, don't forget our Syracuse football post-game shows. We do them live on YouTube, on Facebook, on X as well. If you subscribe to the pod, of course, you can listen and watch whenever you want. Only our Syracuse sports insiders, including those of you that have the secret voicemail line. Another benefit of being a Syracuse Sports Insider. Get your voice heard on the post-game show. Keep in touch during the games. Keep in touch during the week with all your great questions and comments on all matter of Syracuse sports. Become a Syracuse Sports Insider today. It's just $3.99 a month for direct text message access to me anytime. Here's the thing, though. You could try it free for 2 weeks, see how you like it, and then sign up. We would love for you to join our growing community of some of the more passionate Syracuse sports fans out there today. Thanks to Chad. Looking forward to chat with you guys on Saturday after the Orange take on Georgia Tech. Our basketball post-game shows will be starting up soon. The Orange open up the season November 3rd against Binghamton. It's here, folks. Basketball is in the air, along with football, and we'll be talking about it all here on Syracuse Sports. Let's let our friends from Ginger Sling take us out here. The song is called Hazy Sky, number 2, and we would love to feature your original music here on Syracuse Sports. Get in touch. All the info in the show notes. Drop me an email, Baxe, B-A-X-E, at syracuse.com, and we can't wait to hear your music on a future episode of Syracuse Sports. You guys enjoy. We'll talk to you next time here on Syracuse Sports, presented by Krause Health, the exclusive healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics.
It's a hazy sky tonight.